From the American Neurological Association, I'm Adeline Goss. This is ANA Investigates. Today, we'll look at a national effort to advance clinical research and patient care through artificial intelligence. AI depends on data that are large, diverse, and well-labeled. In contrast, most clinical data are siloed, inconsistent, and biased towards certain populations. The Chorus Network, part of the NIH's Bridge to AI consortium, is standardizing and harmonizing data from many hospitals so they can actually be used for training machine learning models. Dr. Eric Rosenthal is an associate professor at Harvard Medical School and an epileptologist, clinical neurophysiologist, and neurointensivist at Mass General Brigham. Among his many roles, he is contact PI for the Chorus Network. Dr. Rosenthal was interviewed about this work by Dr. Masoom Desai, neurointensivist at the University of New Mexico, and site PI for the Chorus Network. Here's Masoom.
Welcome, Eric. It's great to have you with us.
Hi, Masoom. It's great to be here and talk to you about the Bridge to AI consortium and the Chorus for Clinical Care AI program that you and I have been working together on. Thanks for having me.
To get started, especially for the listeners new to AI, could you briefly explain what is the Bridge to AI consortium and what is the Bridge to AI Chorus for Clinical Care AI project?
Sure. The Bridge to Artificial Intelligence program, Bridge to AI, is a major initiative from the NIH through its Common Fund, which has a goal to accelerate and broaden the use of AI in biomedical and behavioral research. And some of the key features are generating flagship AI-ready data sets. There are four programs, and the Chorus for Clinical Care AI project is one of those. And I'm happy to talk to you about that today. It is really a patient-focused, collaborative hospital repository uniting standards, that's the acronym for Chorus, focused on clinical care artificial intelligence. What does that mean? It means we're trying to build the architecture for clinical care AI nationally so that we can improve our understanding of a patient's illness and we can develop new treatments and diagnostic approaches. We create systems to ethically source data and link it so that imaging, electronic health record data, waveform telemetry, brain monitoring, EEG can be linked together to make it multimodal and annotated in a way so that it's AI ready. Specifically, we're building a 14-center multimodal data set from over 100,000 hospital admissions, and it includes some of the data elements I spoke about. We chose in this project to start with data from the critical care environment because of its high density, and it's a challenging environment with many modalities. It makes sure that we're resilient to managing other settings that might not have as many data types. What we hope is our contribution is really standardizing the type of data elements that are gathered in that environment. Our nurses, therapists, clinicians record thousands of data elements in the hospital, such as the angle of the head of the bed, neurologic exams by nurses, clinical notes, medication administrations, dialysis and ventilator settings, and so forth. So as just to give you a sense, in the first 50,000 patients, almost halfway, we've compiled about 1.5 billion electronic health record data elements, and that's not even including waveforms or imaging. So it's quite of a high dimensionality and rich environment to really understand and contextualize our patients.
With so many centers and data types, standards are essential for making the data usable and comparable. In clinical care AI, what do they really mean and why do they matter so much?
I would say it this way, without standards, we are just all talking a different language. And you might think that Epic or Cerner at 14 hospitals is largely the same system, but in one sense, the structure is similar, but the names for each data element are different. If we don't map a term like pupil size or pupil diameter R or right pupil size or OD pupil size to a single concept, we just have a tower of Babel. We can't work together because we can't communicate our data together. So for our project, we've built what amounts to I like to call a Rosetta Stone for thousands of data elements. And if you think back, the Rosetta Stone listed two forms of ancient Egyptian alongside ancient Greek, but it was only for a single decree, one occasion in the Ptolemaic dynasty. It didn't cover every word and every in use at the time, but it was really useful to decipher other words. Our situation is a little bit different. We're trying to really map thousands of hospital data elements, not infer beyond that, but really do it so that we can all communicate our systems with one another. And we do this by mapping to a single concept for each data element within something called the OMOP or OMOP Common Data Model, which is supported by the international Odyssey community. And in that way, when we have a term like pupil diameter, right, it's linked to a vocabulary which everybody knows what it is, and we all agree, and we all map our local terms to that.
That Rosetta Stone analogy really brings it to life. Once those standards are in place, the next challenge is combining all these types of data securely. How do standards, privacy safeguards, and trustworthy computing environments work together to make the kind of collaboration possible?
Right. First off, there is a decent amount of work on the hospital side up front. However, many hospitals already have a version of their electronic health record data in the OMOP Common Data Model. They may not have it at this depth or breadth. And however, we now have such a mapping for 14 hospitals. So it becomes much easier for a 15th hospital to join and come along and standardize their data as well, because they have a leg up by looking at how 14 other hospitals did the same. And we do this the same way for radiology imaging and waveform data. On top of this, there are tools. One really helpful one developed by the Odyssey community is a tool called Atlas, ATLAS. And in that tool, you can build a cohort using values such as laboratories, medications, and more. So if you would like to study a patient with Alzheimer's disease who was admitted with aspiration pneumonia, or patients with brain tumor admitted with seizure, subarachnoid hemorrhage patients undergoing clipping or coiling, there are specific phenotypes you can build that describe that patient more accurately, more sensitively and specifically than you might with a specific billing code. And beyond that, you might then be able to examine a patient like that's neurologic status, their motor power, their Glasgow Coma Scale, GCS score, to understand their trends in function. Link those to management, such as CSF drainage, antibiotic treatment, brain imaging, and findings, and so forth.
Hearing how data from 14 hospitals can come together in a common data ecosystem is really impressive, Eric. But for many people, that kind of data sharing raises an important question.